Hello, I'm Sally Bourner. I'm the local policing unit commander for Solihull Borough in the West Midlands. It's May 2012 and this is my second monthly message to keep you updated about what we're doing locally. This month I'm going to focus on arresting and bringing offenders to justice, but before I do that I want to let you know that crime continues to go down both locally and across the West Midlands, in fact to a point where we're seeing the lowest levels of crime for almost 30 years. One of the reasons that's happening is because we're really targeting offenders, the small number of people who cause harm and misery amongst our local communities. I'd commend you to take a look at our West Midlands Police website. Nearly a month ago now, we launched a rogues gallery, an online rogues gallery of wanted people. And in less than a month of that going live, 25,000 members of the public have looked at it. 31 of the people on there have been arrested. And in Solihull, we put up 8 people to go onto that website, and before it even went live, we'd arrested 4 of them. Please take a look, it's regularly updated. We value your information in helping us bring those people to justice. What I want to do now is share with you a few stories about the people we've been arresting locally and what's been happening to them. A few examples here. Cannabis dealing is something that local people regularly tell us causes them concern about the quality of life in their neighbourhoods. And very recently, one of our neighbourhood teams who work in Smithswood and Castle Brom, on the back of some intelligence that was given to us by local people, executed a warrant. And during the course of that warrant, they recovered some cannabis and they arrested 2 people for possessing cannabis with intention to supply. That investigation is ongoing. Another example here relates to people who've been making off without paying for their fuel and vehicle crime. There's a guy in February who disappeared off to New York, but he couldn't disappear far enough because actually when he came back into the country, he was arrested, he was charged, and very recently, at the end of April, when he went to Leamington Crown Court, he was jailed for 2 years for a number of theft of petrol offences and motor vehicle offences and failing to answer his bail. Recently, a man was arrested for 3 years and 9 months. That's 3 years and 9 months. He was a con man who posed as a TV engineer, intending to carry out digital switchover work at an elderly lady's house. He was jailed for 3 years and 9 months, having tricked her out of money. So we've brought justice to that victim and we've stopped that offender harming other vulnerable people. We put a huge amount of energy into tackling burglaries, and 2 examples here are off-duty police officers. One who was actually on holiday when he saw somebody at the end of April acting suspiciously in the Elmdon and Linden area. He took the vehicle registration number, relayed his suspicions to colleagues, and ultimately 2 people were arrested on suspicion of burglary, and that investigation remains ongoing. Another off-duty officer here, again, he was off duty middle of April when he saw somebody acting suspiciously. He called other officers and basically they made an arrest, and that investigation for suspicion of burglary remains ongoing. In April of this year, we were called to a burglary in Castle Bromwich, a burglary in progress, where members of the public very courageously intervened, and the offender made off, but the witnesses provided a description of the offender. An officer recognised that description, thought they knew who it was, so coordinated other officers to go to an address where they made an arrest, where they recovered stolen property, and the offender for that has been charged, remanded in custody, and is awaiting trial. Robbery offences, small number of robbery offences that occur, in fact less than 1 every couple of days, but we take these offences very seriously. For example, in October of 2011, a woman was robbed in Chelmsford Wood. A witness provided a description, officers subsequently made an arrest, the offender was arrested, identified by a witness, and in March of this year was sentenced to 30 months in prison for that robbery. That sentence was subsequently increased to 6 years in prison because the offender was also found guilty of smuggling drugs into the prison when he was on remand. Very recently, at Warwick Crown Court, 2 offenders who were involved in a robbery in November at the Assembly Rooms in Solihull Town Centre, where they had threatened a member of staff and stole nearly £3,000 in cash from the safe. They were sentenced to 5 and 6 years in prison, respectively, for that robbery. And finally, on Sunday, just a few days ago, officers on patrol as a result of a member of the public who called us in the early hours of the morning to a man acting suspiciously, arrested a man in possession of stolen property. The subsequent investigation found that 3 vehicles had been broken into, and on the following Tuesday morning, so that's 2 days after the original arrest, the offender was sentenced to 32 weeks in prison for vehicle crime. Really, really swift and effective justice. Those are just a few of the many, many daily examples of work that my colleagues, together with members of the public, are doing to arrest people and bring them to justice. And I would emphasise that the public, you are our eyes and ears. So many of those offences and those offenders that we've brought to justice have come about because you've given us information that has helped us make those arrests. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you. And secondly, I'd like to say, please, please keep that information coming. It's absolutely crucial in our fight to tackle crime and bring offenders to justice. Those examples have also emphasised just how important patrol is to policing. Many of you may have heard recently on the news a lot of stuff around what we're calling business partnering. Now, we in the West Midlands here, together with Surrey Police, are taking forward some really, really groundbreaking work, which is fundamentally about improving the service we provide to the public at a time when we're reducing our budgets. Now, some of this has very much been reported as privatisation of policing. I cannot stress enough, this is not about privatisation of policing. This is about improving the service we provide to the public by recognising that in certain areas, particularly around our use of technology, for example, that the private sector have a huge amount of really great ways of working that help us deliver policing. What I would emphasise and what I would absolutely stress is that in terms of police patrol and the policing functions and the role of constable, that is absolutely sacrosanct, and it is nonsense to suggest that private companies will be patrolling the streets within our communities. So I want to really, really reassure you that as we take our business partnering work forward, this is about delivering improved service at a time when our budgets are reducing, but ensuring we absolutely value, maintain and focus on the sacrosanct role of constable in protecting and serving the public. And visible patrol is an absolutely crucial part of that. And going back to those examples around offenders we've brought to justice, visible patrol and working closely with the public who have trust and confidence in us results in people being put behind bars. Finally, the reason I do this is to improve the way that we communicate with you and to let you know what's happening across Solihull. Some of you may have read a recent article in the Sunday Times about how we use Twitter. We use that as an opportunity to check out with the public how you feel about our communication. And the feedback that we received was overwhelmingly positive. People telling us, keep the information coming, keep letting us know what you're doing. It makes us feel safe and it gives us confidence in what the police are doing. We always value feedback, so if you've got any thoughts, any ideas, anything at all, as I've said before, please, please let us know. We're here to serve you, we're here to protect you, we're here to keep you safe. I hope my message today has helped do that. Thanks very much and see you again soon.